How do you control the quality on your projects when you're doing 16 large scale jobs at a time?
Um, Case in point today. So we have continual trainings. I mean, I mentioned we have 28 people, so we're pretty well staffed. Every project has a coordinator and superintendent assigned to it. They have a lot of systems in place. We have, a PM over them that's overlooking those projects. And more importantly, we have 4 to 6 walks per project where we bring the whole company out, strap and shear. We'll do it at frame inspection. We'll do of course, a final one. We're getting close to C of O a month out, and so we bring the whole company out. And although the superintendent knows the quality that we expect, they become snowblind. And so when you bring out 20 of your peers to tag the house and run the water and check the appliances and check the ice maker and tag your cabinetry, I mean, it's hard for things to get through the cracks when you
Yeah.
have all these different team walks. And we'll do it early on too at pre-concrete, making sure that from plumbing to structural, that everything's in its right place, because so many projects have some pretty complicated undergrounds and they have complicated structural
And
steel
most of your
components.
stuff's on slab, right?
Yeah, I would say most of it is. I mean, 70%. I mean, 30% are basements for us,
Yeah.
or walkout basements. I mean, I have a couple right now that are true basements. I mean, in the East Valley, soil's a little bit different. We do a lot of basements, in Gilbert, Mesa, Chandler area, Queen Creek of Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit more critical when you have utilities cast into slabs and you're trying to execute on a very high level. It doesn't make changes so easy. Um, what about the conversation with clients, right? Where they see what you do. And to me, like the success of so many projects is based on the expectation set forth. And you market a certain way, you're promoting your business as a certain way, but we all know that it's not always that way in the real world, right? Jobs don't go perfectly. There's mistakes, there's redos. It's not as seamless as it may appear online. How do you approach those conversations and manage your clients' expectations as far as what this process is going to look like, and that it's not going to be perfect and there's going to be issues and there's going to be problem solving?
Yeah, it's a good point, Tyler. I think, 5 years ago, I had a client come in. It's pretty humbling when they sit in front of you and they're like, Brad, your sales pitch doesn't match your building process, and they're like, and so it kind of makes you say, okay, well, that's some great feedback. What am I missing? And you kind of reevaluate. We have a document called the emotional roller coaster that we give them, and it shows them the ups and downs, the pitfalls. Again, you become much more savvy to understand, even though drywall may be bid at 50,000, we're going to carry 58,000 in the line. And they'll be like, well, why? Well, because the nuance, you're going to have cabinetry that's not perfect. You're going to have countertops that's set plumb
Mhm.
and level, and they're going to bang the drywall. We have to come back. You may have flush, baseboard with the drywall. And so you just learn the pain points that the customer has and you speak to those. And I think one thing we've chosen to invest, and this is definitely something in the last, call it 6, 7 months, is I felt for us to go to the next level was invest in pre-con. And the way we do that, I think it's pretty rare for a company of our size, but I have 3 full-time estimators. And keep in mind, all of our work's negotiated. We're not really hard bidding a whole lot. So having 3, I mean, they are dialed in on the front end, because my goal is to get in front of the client at pre-con with the most accurate bid possible, doing our own takeoffs, our own database. I mean, they're leveraging quantities, so by having 3 people, they're spending a lot of time doing page turns. And so we'll sit down with the architect and we'll go through every page to make sure we're not missing any details and things that were really important to the architect or the client. Our designer team will sit down with our estimating team and do a page turn and go through every spec. We're creating bid abstracts we send out to the subs. And so the best way to answer that, Tyler, is really investing heavily in pre-con. And that's alleviated a lot of stress in the field so that guys can build more efficiently and ideally keep, their schedule on par.
What percentage of your work is like signed
Negotiated.
on, paid pre-construction?
So I would say, I mean, it's really 100%. I mean, every project that people see me, we're all under contract. However, I guess technically it's not 100, it'd maybe be 95, but there is the occasion where I've had 4 projects in the last 12 months where the clients reached out, or the customer, the architect, hey, Brad, we have a client. They want to get bids. They want you to bid it. And I'm like, no problem. It's 10 grand. Well, why is it 10 grand? Well, and that's back to the sales process. Well, it's going to take us 6 to 7 weeks to bid it. I have 3 estimators. They're going to spend all this time doing takeoffs and quantities. We're going to send it out for best and final numbers with the subs. We're going to cross check that, check it with, similar projects. And so they have to understand the value. So of those 4 that I bid, we were awarded 2 of them, and the other 2, they decided not to go with us, but they still, they paid us up front. They didn't ask for a refund, and they actually never pushed back, shockingly. I've only had, I think, 6 inquiries about that. 4 accepted, 2 said, yeah, we don't want to pay you to bid it.
And typically it's a much larger financial contract and probably a more comprehensive process. Like, you're going into it as if that job is guaranteed yours. You want to build this job out and negotiate this project to execute a contract.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of the skin in the game for the client, is so I can go to my subs and say, they've paid us to bid this project. This is not a pie in the sky. And then now it allows our trades to know that they're not just wasting time. I mean, you could lose, I don't want to say credibility, but trades are busy. They're exhausted just throwing out bids. So if you're not winning and awarding them, and you're just bidding all the time, you're not going to get the best numbers anyways. I mean, this allows us to go to the client and say, we're going to get you great numbers, because the trade partners we're sending out to, I mean, they know that we have a vested interest in this project.